I'm Elisa Mortensen, and this is Undo Redo.
Hello. It's been a little while. I think life just gets busy sometimes, but I've had you guys on my mind and I have lots of things to share again, still. I think I will always have some insights and we're learning. That's how we evolve, right? We're always learning something. Well, it's fall here, November 2025. There's leaves all over my lawn. It just looks like a golden patchwork blanket. Honestly, it's gorgeous. I've been spending so much time outside nowadays these last few weeks, and that is one of my very favorite things to do. No matter if I'm working or playing, just being outside in general is my very favorite. And I'm reading prompts, so when my eyes go down, it's kind of keeping me on track because my brain tends to wander. All right, my next favorite thing outside of being outside is talking about what actually works in our relationships becoming more peaceful. And because everything is relational and everyone craves more peace, I never get sick of talking about it. There are so many instances with so many little tiny situations that we need more depth on so we can understand it. And we read the books, we follow the experts' advice, we're trying all the tips and tricks, and it's still not working. We still don't have peace in our relationships. And we're thinking, what is wrong with them? Why can't I make peace with them? Right? There's seriously something wrong with them. And I want to talk to you about that. I don't know about you, but I like to make things simple and fun whenever possible. So this is just going to be simple and fun. We get trapped thinking there's either too much past or there's too many moving parts. But today I'm going to challenge that because there's always a way to undo the confusion and redo the connection. And that makes it much more simple and easier to follow and easier to get back to when you get off track. If you just came upon me, I'm a coach and I've been certified through the Life Coach School, and I help you lead the people you oversee using only what works. I really don't get into anything that doesn't work. I stick to the nuts and bolts of there's no more guesswork. It's only drama-free, stress-free people management here for home and work. It's more playful than you ever could have imagined. It's easier than you thought, and it gets them to listen, to perform better, to take more accountability, and it works for everyone in every situation if you can just hang in there. So this is me helping you hang in there to make it happen. Everyone has a different timeline on which they can see their results and actually land what I'm talking about. So first, let's talk a little bit about who I am and who I work with and what I keep seeing. I coach leaders and parents and teachers. They're entrepreneurs, they're caregivers. These are my students. These are my clients. A little bit about who I am in case you're just finding me. They're in charge of overseeing others and making sure things happen, making sure people get things done. These are high stakes positions where you've got a kid that's going to, fail if you can't reach and teach them. You've got a life that is not just about you. It's about pulling other people along and helping other people. It's much more than just you. You need to make sure they get what they need and that you have what they need in order for them to get there, and you make decisions on their behalf. It's a whole thing, right? So here's what I see most happening with my clients is they come into me in big fits. They're like, these people are ridiculous. They behave poorly. They don't cooperate. They're ignoring me. They're resisting everything I'm telling them. And it's just drama and problems about how their people aren't following through and how it deflates them and it's causing them health issues. And the biggest complaint is they don't conform to what I've asked them. They're not listening. I'm getting ignored. I have procedures. I have chore lists. I have things. This is a huge epidemic. Nobody wants to listen to anybody anymore. Nobody wants to be told what to do. It used to be kids would fall in line. It used to be that you'd put some strict punishments in place or take them out to the shed and give them a little whooping and they would fall in line. And that was done out of fear. And it dysregulated and disconnected a lot of people. And we are the link breakers in this generation. We're changing things. So how is it that we feel so picked on as a leader? We feel so picked on as a parent. And why are we so tired of it? I keep hearing, I've tried everything. I've tried the books. I've tried therapy. I'm following the experts and nothing's changing. So what I want to tell you is whenever we hear in our heads, it kind of sounds like, how can I change them? How can I make them? Whenever we hear this in our heads, that's when it doesn't happen. That's when the peace doesn't happen. It's offensive for someone to have someone else come at them and try to make them different than who they are every day. Demand that they do things this way and think this way and act this way. When you're feeling completely opposite, it's very offensive to have someone else come at you and tell you, who I don't care if you're a teacher or leader, I don't care who you are. It's offensive to have somebody come at you that way. Like, you're cooking wrong. This doesn't taste right. You're mixing it wrong. You're not following instructions. You didn't listen to me when I was talking. Like anything that sounds super critical isn't being heard nowadays. So I'm going to show you how not to work backwards like that. Because you're stuck on the path of not having peaceful relationships if you're thinking these things in these ways. And I get it. If you don't, they're not going to do it. So that's a big fear. It comes up. Well, how do I hold them accountable? That's another fear that comes up. I'm going to show you why changing the circumstances, I'm just going to call it changing your C's, or the circumstances, the situations, the people, won't bring you the peace and connection that you're seeking. Why doesn't it work? Stay with me and I'll show you. The big mistake is changing them and changing the circumstances. Most people feel, if I want peace in this relationship and I want them to have better behavior and to listen, for us to cooperate together, then I have to make them change what they're doing. I have to make them do it. What sort of enforcement can I have so these people show up? And that's the past programming. That's not something that we're going to do today. It's not something that I teach. But from that thought, if you have that thought, we go on a journey of enforcement. There's new rules, we tighten down. There's subtle threats, like if you don't, then. There's a lot of complaining, tracking mistakes. We up our criticism, making sure that they don't do this and don't do this and don't do this, and pointing out how crappy everything is that they're doing. And that is not the way to get their best behavior. What happens in them is when you tighten down, they also go into hiding, or they go into resistance. And the more you demand, enforce, and control, you go into drill sergeant mode. You might yield some temporary results there, but it isn't sustainable, because you're trying to rearrange things to make a person do something and make it so miserable that they don't even want to be there. They can never get excited about what you're doing. They can never get excited about even doing the thing, because why try? When you're rearranging their outside instead of connecting with their inside, it will never reach them and bring you that peace you want in their relationship. So, what does the science and research actually say about this? There's huge proof that it says when leaders or parents or managers are focused on internal factors, the thoughts, beliefs, the emotional tone of the room, that the relational outcomes improve, that results do happen. So, for example, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, has a strong link with leadership effectiveness. This means that when we are emotionally more intelligent, we are more admired, and people like to follow us. People wish to and hope to please us or respect us. They have loyalty, they listen, they're learning, because we are leading better in our relational outcomes. For example, emotional intelligence means when you feel emotions come on, you are intelligent enough to not get swept away in it, because it's just a river of misery. You can feel it coming and you remain who you are as the kind person or the solid leader. People look to who's calm in the room for that kind of leadership. So when you remain the person that has not lost it, the person who remains calm in the room, the person who can clearly think still because they haven't got swept away, the strong link with the effectiveness that it has when we are emotionally more intelligent, we are more admired, and people wish to follow us. People will listen and have loyalty to us. It leads to better relational and behavior outcomes and results in home or at work. That's exciting, right? So trust and enjoyable interactions will always matter more than pure control or convincing other people to do differently. So again, not the outside and what's happening, not the behavior or the lack of discipline or that they're not listening. What's happening on their experience on the inside and our experience on the inside is the part that matters. So I'm talking about rearranging circumstances versus rearranging our internal selves. Right? Rearranging what's outside of us versus rearranging what's inside of us. And there is a difference. This is the difference. This is why the books aren't making it happen. This is why the tips and tricks, following experts, if none of it's working, is because we're still focused on things that are outside of us and outside of them instead of focusing on what's inside of us and what's inside of them. That's the key. That's the ticket. All right. We're talking thoughts versus circumstances. And it's not the circumstances that are going to make anything different for you. What this means for us is when we stop trying to show up and manipulate their behavior only to get the results that we want, we start tending to the way we're thinking, our own beliefs, our side of the interactions, we can reach them. They put their guard down. They start hearing us because they can feel that energetic exchange. That emotional tone becomes more accountable on our side. It isn't just different rules for them. It's a different internal posture for us. Your level of speaking openly and clearly, so there's less room for misinterpretations. You coming to them to see if they need anything from you to get their tasks done and how more support you can be changes everything. Do you see it? Okay, here's the, if we're going to undo the old and we're going to redo the new, because that's what we're here to do on Undo Redo, right? Notice how you feel when you get their attention by pushing and criticizing and demanding and pointing out everything they're doing wrong. What kind of energy exchange are you getting from them? What do you feel inside? Right? How does it feel when you engage energetically, when you're inviting them to do it a new, different way, when you're helping them see a vision and uniting with them in let's work together instead of I'm against you because you do things all wrong? Like there's a totally different energy. It's a we instead of just a me. All right? The tone and delivery and the energy behind it, it all matters. If you take anything away from this episode today, it's that the thinking behind your words is what matters most. This is where we shift our belief about how peace comes to you. If your belief is they must change for us to have peace, like I'm putting all of my peace is on them listening, then you're anchored in conflict. If I change my thoughts about it and I anchor in peace, then the interaction will shift. Then you're resting in the dynamic of peace will come because I am peaceful no matter what, because I'm not adding to the chaos. Now we're going to practice. Play around with your internal lens, not what's going on outside of you, but looking through what's going on inside of you when you have your interactions. What is it that they're doing wrong? Ask yourself, what is it that I'm thinking that they are doing wrong? Maybe they're not doing it wrong. Maybe they don't see it the way you do. They don't get to the end result the way you do. Your need to be critical says a lot about where your emotional tone is. So if they're cooking the food wrong, if they're doing the papers wrong, if they're not listening in class, what is it? Just start to play with it. If you were to think in your head, here's what I want. If I can get them to buy in on this and we all agree, then we all win. And that's the kind of thought that is problem solving and looks forward to interacting instead of just demanding that they be different. Right? We want to be on the team. That's where the real change happens. So then we repeat those thoughts where how can I invite? How can I make this clear that I am on their side? How can I make this enjoyable for them and me? How is nothing going wrong here? I just need to be more clear. It ripples. When you shift, they shift. All the brains in the room are reading internal states of everyone more than external commands. So when everyone in the room is reading where internally you are, if someone walks in the room is just immediately pissed at you, could be something you're thinking. Could be something that they're thinking you're thinking because of your track record of being maybe demanding or critical. So there's a lot of ownership in this. There's ownership for you and there's ownership for them. And once you clean up your side, then they get to take care of their side. It's a much better way to lead because burnout happens trying to make more enforcement and more rules and telling them all the critical things. We don't stay connected at all. So when you keep them as the problem, then you keep yourself powerless. Ownership dies and your power to influence them dies. All right. But when you redo your thinking and you reclaim that influence, you don't force change. And yes, early on, it might feel really awkward. It might feel like I'm not being strong enough, like I'm letting them get away with that. But sustainable growth that's internal will last longer. And it starts inside you first. You notice what's happening in you. Now you're curious about what's happening for them. And you can align what they need from you. This is where that remake that you've been waiting for relationally really comes into play. So today we undo the myth that changing anything outside of us, how clean everything is, how well things are cooked, or how people are behaving. We undo the myth that changing anything outside of us is the answer, and we redo it with the truth. Changing your thinking, changing your story, and changing your internal posture with them is where the connection begins. So if you can think of anyone who needs to hear this, please share, because there's a parent struggling with a kid somewhere. There's leaders struggling with a team and a teacher slogging along with a whole classroom. Please send this to them, because the heavens reach us most often through one another. So be the one that heaven can trust. Thank you for letting me into your life today, into your headphones, and wherever you are. Message me with any ideas that you have or any questions you have that I can expound on in future episodes here, and we'll keep doing what actually works. I will not hold back. I will give you all the details. All right? Talk to you soon. Bye.